Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching. It would mean the world to us if you could just scroll down, like, hit the subscribe button for the Snaps YouTube channel. It goes a long way towards helping us out. Now, let's dive into some college football. And then the offense for Washington, thing that has carried them throughout this entire year, the ethereal, battle-tested magic of Michael Penix and company couldn't come through time after time. They failed consistently, and it's not that they screwed up, it's that Michigan made the plays. You think about the first drive of the game after the huge statement by Michigan. 8 plays, 5 of which for first downs, just dominant down the field. Big Donovan Edwards touchdown. Washington has to answer, right? They used 2 timeouts on the first drive trying to make it happen. They get all the way down to the goal line. They fail. Then 17-3, game spiraling. You're going for it on 4th down already, and there's a wide open Rome Odunze. But as you pointed out when we were hanging out during the game, Aaron, Penix, a little scared of that safety, which he should not have been because of the fact it was 4th down. He throws it a little too outside. Instead of a touchdown, it's an incomplete pass. That right there already felt like the death knell. To credit to Washington's defense of the game stayed exciting. But then you had the interception at the beginning of the second half, which again, bad throw by Michael Penix, better play by Will Johnson. This was not Washington fucking up. This was Michigan winning the game. How the fuck did Will Johnson come down with that ball?
No, I'm not, I will say, like, I will lean more. Yes, Michigan won the game, but it was also a sloppy performance by Washington. I think why can't it be both? I'll lean towards 70% of it. 70% of it was Michigan, and yes, Michigan caused some of the sloppiness, but like there were wide open throws that Penix usually hit that he didn't.
Yeah, because he's fucking feeling the rush, because he's scared. His internal clock is ringing alarm bells, fire alarms.
I've seen that kid play way too much football and battle through games when in his entire career where things weren't going perfect, and he still found ways to execute and hit wide open receivers.
So what's the difference? I mean,
he just didn't have a great game. That's the difference. He had a bad game. He had a bad game. He could not have a bad game in the biggest game of his career, and he had a bad game. That's the difference.
Herbie breaking down again, though, how is a bad game forced? When people have a bad game defensively, we tend to just say it's great offense. But when an offense has a bad game, we tend to say, oh, well, they played bad. Like Bilbo says, T-Bob, how many offensive penalties did the O-line, which won the Joe Moore one? Why are they jumping off sides? Why are they holding? Because they're fucking scared. Because they're intimidated. Because they're discombobulated.
It can be both. Yes, it can.
I know it can. I mean, I'm not saying, look, it's not 100% one or the other. Yes. Everybody makes mistakes in games, but to paint this as Washington committing unforced errors as opposed to Michigan painting those errors too, like forcing those errors upon them, I just vehemently disagree with, dude.
Washington didn't lose the game. I'll put it like this for you, so I think you'll understand this better. What I'm trying to get: Washington didn't lose the football game. Okay, Michigan won the damn football game. Michigan was the better team. Michigan was the better defense. Michigan made enough plays on offense. They were the better team. This wasn't a case of Washington losing it. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Michigan won the game.
No, but I still just think that as a football analysis society, when we see bad offensive performance, we don't always credit the defense for forcing that bad performance. And I mean, look, if I want to play devil's advocate to my own point, and give you credence, you could say that, oh, well, we've seen this out of Penix before this year, though, right? And you said that Penix couldn't have an off game, and yet here he did. I still think that between the Penn State game, in which Michigan didn't have to throw a pass the entire fucking second half. I mean, think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Between what they did to Ohio State, winning a game, even like Iowa, that's another thing that I was very wrong on. I kept talking and harping and waxing poetic about the battle-tested nature of Washington, and yet I ignored Michigan, who had a pretty tense win over Penn State, pretty tense win over Ohio State, pretty tense win over Iowa, Alabama. Like, that's not a small sample size. And so they too were unflappable, where I was giving more credit to Washington in that regard than when I should have been giving Michigan maybe a bit more as well. I mean, look, the bottom line is that when you want to win, on the biggest stage, Aaron, I'm sure y'all said this too. Prime time players make prime time plays in
100%.
prime time situations. Will Johnson showed up. Mikey Sanders still showed up. JJ McCarthy showed up. The fucking Michigan O-line showed up. Edwards and Corum showed up. Page showed up. Name me one Washington superstar that showed up.
None.
Adunze, I would say Adunze, because to your point, he was open. He was open a few times too, and Penix missed him. But like, that's the nature of wide receiver. It's the wildest position in sports because you are dependent upon another person. So no, I give massive fucking credit to Michigan here. You say sloppy game, I say just a dominant game by Michigan in all phases of the game, forcing a Washington offense that has been near unstoppable at times into looking very pedestrian, and then just overwhelming, brutal high school bully power offensively. And yeah, I mean, look, all the sharps were right. The sharps don't always get it right, but a lot of times they do. And the rushing attack of Michigan and the run defense of Washington, even though, again, the defense did their job, in my opinion, the Washington defense did their job. But to start the game, there were some massive morale blows as that Michigan rushing attack took over.
303 yards, 8 yards per carry. At one point in the first quarter, they were averaging 19 yards per carry.
Yes,
I mean, it was absolutely unbelievable. That offensive line, you can tell. I mean, Michigan is for those who don't know, I'm sure you heard it during the broadcast tonight. Michigan's offensive line had won the Joe Moore Award back-to-back years, the past 2 years. And as soon as they won them, they played like crap. They got their absolute ass whooped against Georgia in Miami. And everyone's like, really? That's the team that just won the Joe Moore Award? And they just got absolutely throttled by Georgia's defensive line. Then you lose to TCU, not play a great game. So everyone's like, okay, I don't care how good Michigan is this year. You cannot give Michigan that award after what they did after losing and how bad they played in the playoffs after winning the Joe Moore Award. Washington gets it this year, and I guarantee you every Michigan offensive lineman's like, fuck those dudes. Watch what we do tonight. And they look pissed off. That was the most physical, dominant performance I've seen, and that's a great Michigan offensive line, and they look like that the entire game. It's the best I've seen in 3 years play.
Now, the Joe Moore Award kind of gets handed to the offensive line that's in the championship a little bit. I don't know. But also, to be fair to Washington, the Washington front seven and the Michigan front seven are vastly different challenges. I mean, vastly different challenges, right? And that was all too apparent night. And by the way, Aaron, you said 19 yards a carry for the first quarter. It was 19 yards a carry for the first half. Here's the dumbest stat. I don't know when this screenshot was snagged, but it was sometimes in the first half. 174 rush yards for Michigan, 153 before contact.